are so many initiatives, chini ya maji. People are doing things. There are people coming up with a website for corruption tracking. There are people doing so many things. So we need a space continuous where all these things meet. And we also keep on having those conversations. And then we also delegate it in a form for each county so that we can completely change the politics of this country. Because otherwise, we can remove the man from power, but the mindset, that has been since independence, that one has to go. Otherwise, we wouldn't have changed anything. I'll finish by saying that you can have a revolution without revolutionary change.
Thank you so much, Reject. I think your call is upon to change the system, not change the people. Change the system, and the system that work for us and work for everybody, and everybody can see. And now we are seeing everybody's Honorable Raila Odinga came in and supporting the Adani thing. We are seeing DP is going, and so many rumors going ahead and everything. So it is so crazy, and you're right that the system, if we leave the system, even if we remove these people, when the system is still there, then there's no any big change that we can make. But I like the idea of Anthony. I've been talking to him, and we are thinking that it is now ideal to come with the people who will bring change to the system, not the people that, because even yourself, Reject, if you put it there, nothing will happen with the same system. You'll just follow this suit, and these are the dilemmas that make us come to these places and discuss all this. Calvin, I see you. I saw your hands before Mutuflani. Can you go ahead? Oh, Calvin dropped. Okay, Mutuflani.
Okay, Bwana hosts, I think you need to bring this space to order, because we are risking of doing the same thing that always happens on these spaces, going round and round and round in circles. People making very nice speeches, using very nice English, very good words, but there's no real solid action to be taken. The time for speeches is over. The more we continue talking here, Ruto is making his moves. And you see he's doing them in a big way. When we're here distracting ourselves, talking on spaces that are really not leading to anything tangible. The Dr. Ria said very nicely, he gave very nice points, very clear. We should take that and run with it. Because there are people on these spaces who are even, there's someone here who even, Akina Tony Kashoka, who want to bring in Kalonzo. Kalonzo, what will Kalonzo do? Kalonzo is also part of the system. He was there yesterday in Sarit, and people were saying Ruto must go. I want him to also join those people, if he's truly genuine, join those people in saying Ruto must go. But what did he do? He kept quiet, meaning he's also part of the people. He's part of the political class. Let's not cheat ourselves. And he has been there for over 20 years. What change is he going to bring now? So we are entertaining some very ridiculous discussions. I'm sorry. We should be focusing on, we remove this person and everything that he stands for. When people say Ruto must go, we don't mean Ruto the man. It is him and everything he stands for. It has, which most of these things have been there even before him. He was raised in that system. So it is him to go with it because he protects it. Anything that is happening in government has his blessing. And as much as his corruption is going on and he's quiet, it means he's complacent. Yeah, in my language we say hakuna mwizi na ule anachungulia. Ule anachungulia pia ni mwizi. That is also a thief. So come on, guys. We can't be going around in circles like this. Tafadhali, let's get serious.
Nimekupata mfulani na kusikia vizuri sana. Sema kwamba even the people that we are proposing is just the same people. It's only that anayechungulia pia ni mwizi tu kama wale wanaiba. Sawa, asante sana. Nashukuru sana mfulani, and I can hear the seriousness in your voice, and those are the things that you want, and that's why we put all this conversation. We'll not stop conversation, but also what you're saying, we need to take action. Then also speaking here well, but at the end of the day, there's no any action. But action is there. Actually, Anthony says that people are in court and several things. There's political lessons that going on the ground, and people are being, so there's a lot of things. But Dr. Milton talked about let this thing happen now. And I think Mutufulani, you said it before, that it is high time for us to go back to the roads without looking any leader to make sure that this system is gone. Thank you so much for that. All right, Grace.
Yeah, maybe I'll just add to it too. Also, I think what Moridi said also, Anthony, is also, allowing our anger to foster and to organize into a coordinated strategic action. I think to use the exercises to mobilize like-minded individuals to share the same frustration, and discussion emphasizes on just not venting, but also a collective action, which is happening, what Muridi highlighted, such as petition, and Daktari said protests, and the civic education campaign. All these bits have come through social media leveraging and platforms to rally support around these causes. So I think using these spaces also to have that is very important. It translates into a world of action. That's where all this came from. I'll leave also Muridi to chime before he leaves, and then we can hear that. Thank you, Hillary.
Right. Thank you so much. So Grace, Grace, I can see you. Yes. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I hope everyone can hear me.
Everybody can hear you. If I can hear you, for sure, everybody can hear you.
Okay. For me, I feel Kenyans are not serious. Kenyans are not serious, na kazi yetu tu ni kuongea mara mingi, tunaongea kila siku, lakini atu act. Unajua, when I see Kenyans argue here on this X space, na waulizanga, yes, mnasema Ruto must go, and what are your plans? And I remember when Inject Party came in, so many people were talking rubbish. Sasa nakaa chini najiuliza, what do Kenyans really want? Because I think those political spaces we are creating and parties we are creating is for people like us who wants to vie. But again, the bigwig parties cannot allow us to vie. I don't know, there's this question, Kenyans hawajui kitu wanataka. You are attacking people wenye wanafaa kuwa mnawa direct. And mkishawa attack hivyo, somebody like Kibaso Morara, mi hakuna siku yenye Kibaso Morara aliwahi ni force nimtumie pesa, but I sent, because I believe that whatever he's doing is for a good cause. Sasa nyinyi watu kama hao mnataka kuwatag majina, mpaka najiuliza, who is ready for nonsense? Hakuna mtu ako ready for nonsense. It is one thing, if we are sending these politicians home, who will occupy those places? And these people that are going to occupy these positions, they have to be groomed. They have to be told what to do. They have to know what Kenyans want. Sasa mi saizi hata niko confused about what Kenyans wanataka for sure. Hiyo ni number one. Number two, if you look at all these issues that are happening, first of all, mwache kutag ati me personally am a Luo, and I don't agree. In fact, I was a big Raila Odinga sycophant. Saizi hata sitaki kusikia kitu anasema, because for sure we cannot be put in a position where we have to beg for things to happen. Saizi ukiangalia payslip yako, you are contributing almost 38% to tax. Na yo in the UK, wanna contribute only 40%, wanna contribute 40% to the government. But if you look at their systems, they are all working. If you go to the hospital, medication is free. If you come to education for the children is free up to the university. Nyinyi 38%, difference yenyu na UK ni 2%. Mnaona nini? What can you say that the government inafanya yenye ina work vizuri? Hakuna, to be honest. Hakuna. Na mimi nasema tena, narudia kusema, hii maneno ya sisi kupiga tu kelele hapa Twitter, tunapiga kelele on social media is not enough. We need to occupy these places. We need to stop corruption in this country as early as possible. Because think about your children. These are the mistakes that our parents did. Look at the lives you are living. We are living like we are beggars. And this is something we should say no to. And if you see a government, inataka kuhold the road shows za kupeleka watu in other countries waende wafanye kazi nje ya Kenya. This is a fucked up government. And the earlier you know it, the earlier you go to the streets, the better. The earlier you go to the streets, because these people are going to fuck you up like nobody's business. If you look at the Adani deal, sasa saizi hiyo story ya inaitwaje ya energy, 90 something billion shillings. Now other countries are complaining because of Adani. Other countries, if you look at the news, if you look at CNN news, this is somebody who is known for corruption, who is known for dark deals. That is the person Raila Odinga wants to bring to Kenya. So it tells you that these politicians, they don't fucking care about you. They only care about themselves.
That's okay, but I think also using the word, as I think some children are still up, so also we use. Yeah, okay. Are you done? Yeah, guys, I'm saying that. You done, Grace?
I'm done. Nimekasirika, wacha tu hata nitake a breath.
Sawa. So anasema bwana, ukinapozungumza lugha ambayo as much as we're saying the truth, lugha ambayo itasaidia watu, hata watoto wakisikia wanasema these people are focused and they know what they're doing. So we're trying to maintain that respectful language and everything. You know, there's some word that you can use, and the way people are taking it, it won't talk well with our space, and we don't want that. Right, Bonnie, come in. Yeah. Bonnie Wangi.
Okay.
Abdi, can you hear me?
Yeah, maybe I can hear Bonnie. As we wait for Bonnie, I just want to cycle back to Grace. I think it is very crucial to acknowledge when leaders like young leaders like Morara and Kasamuel stray from the path of the people's struggle. I think their action may feel like a betrayal, but it's also important to offer guidance and mentorship. In moments like this, I think I agree we must not only call out the wrongs, but also create an opportunity for dialogue and trying to understand and bringing them back to the cause. I think true revolutions not only fight for justice, but also seek to uplift and guide those who may have lost their way. This is my belief. And I think we'll continue to push forward, but with an open door for those willing to realign with a fight for a united Kenya. No betrayal will weaken our resolve, and I think we should remain committed to positive change for all. Having said that, let me check on Bonnie. Bonnie, are you there? Okay, I think Bonnie looks muted. Can we bring in one of our guest speakers also, Neto? Neto, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you, Abdi, and thank you, Hilary, for hosting this space. And thank you, everyone, from wherever you're tuned in. Good morning and good evening. I joined the space about an hour ago because I wanted to listen to other Kenyans. That's why I did not want to jump first in the speakers panel. So Hilary and Abdi, allow me to speak as a former politician or as a former member of parliament. What we're dealing with in Kenya is a political problem. And we have to deal with it politically. We must get organized as citizens who feel disenfranchised and take over political power. I have listened to a couple of speakers. Emotion is good. It's good to get emotional. But I just need to tell you, as a former member of parliament, is that the politicians think without emotion. There are moments when we really need to recalibrate and use our brains as opposed to emotion. Emotion is good. It's good to get angry. It's good to get all those things. But it is important when we get into this sort of thing to now start using our brains. Politics is soft war. It is war by any other name. It is just that you do not use artillery. So I was a member of parliament in Raila Odinga's party, and I left because I was not happy with how he was doing his politics. We can be in this space and be pretending. Over the past couple of weeks, Hillary and I spoke in this space in the months of May, June, and stuff like that. When the Gen Z protests were at their penultimate, one of the things that we said and agreed is that there was need to have the Gen Zs being given staying power. The Gen Z uprising was a good thing because it gives a chance to recalibrate Kenyans' civilizations. I will explain what I mean by that. For the longest, Kenya's politics has been done on the basis of tribe. Kenya is basically a tribal country, and however you want to look at it. And that's why, President Ruto saw that he was losing a bit of the Kikuyu vote. He brought in the Luo vote, and the country looks stabilized in his view. When President Ruto had the Kikuyu vote, he didn't give a hoot what the Luos were thinking, or those in Western Kenya. So politics in Kenya for the longest has been done on the basis of tribal nations or tribal civilizations. But one of the things that the Gen Z's protest brought, which is a very good thing, was the ability to recalibrate Kenyan politics through something, either generational or religious or something else that is not on the basis of tribe. If, for example, we are able to sustain that into the next couple of months of Kenya, I think we will be able to really look at a new nation that we really think is good for Kenya. Now, what's happening in Kenya under President Ruto is nothing that is new. It is basically extractive institutions of the country. I mean, Uhuru did it. William Ruto is doing it. The next president, whoever it is going to be, is going to do it if we do not have inclusive political institutions. Politicians believe in the basis of status quo. They do not want to do things that are new. They don't want to move into new territories that they do not understand. And I've had someone here speak and chide Kalonzo Musyoka. He's only there for now because he also wants to get his finger on the cooking jar. And you'll be surprised that when an opportunity arises, he'll also abandon all these revolutionary things. And that's what ODM and Raila Odinga have done. So that is nothing that is new. It is predictable, especially in a country that has extractive institutions like what we have. But I want to say a couple of things. Having said that the Gen Z revolution was a good thing, Kenyans must try to see, can we recalibrate our politics right now, moving forward, into something that is not the basis of Mulima or the Lake or the Rift Valley? Can we recalibrate something into politics that works for Kenya with young Kenyans and old Kenyans working together in a way that is important? That's the first thing I'd like to say. The second thing I'd like to say is that if at all, Hillary, you're going to host a space next Sunday, several things will have happened in Kenya between now and next Sunday. By next Sunday, Kenya is going to have a new deputy president, and that is going to be a determining moment for the life of Kenya. From where I sit, I think the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua is going to be the law of unintended consequences. It's going to give Kenyans another chance to either reboot the country in the way that Kenyans want to reboot the country, or we will be stuck in the same old, the Murimas will be going back, coalescing around and insulting Luos, insulting Kalenjins, insulting those in the coast. So we must decide as a country and as a people what we want. It is possible to pretend that we're not going to be tribal. It's good to pretend that we're not going to do all these things. But there's going to be a clean chance next week, Thursday night. On Monday, I'm so sure, factors remaining constant, there's going to be a new deputy president, and there's nothing you're going to do about it. The only thing we can do is that we can choose then to organize ourselves in a brand new way, which is the third thing I'd like to say. We must exorcise the ghost of what is bedeviling Kenya once and for all. The Kenyan problem is a problem where various nation states, the Luo, the Kikuyu, the Kalenjin, and the Kuria, the El Molo, found themselves together in a country. We then chose political and institutional systems that might not be working for us. If we succeed, for example, in having a new deputy president, which then proceeds into having other things following that, Kenyans must demand that we must have inclusive political institutions. We must create political systems that work for us. One, in my view, and I've said it before, that I do not think a presidential system of government, for example, works for Kenya. It leads into, and someone has spoken before me and said correctly, when will a Turkana, when will a Rendile, when will a Kuria, for example, lead Kenya? There are many intelligent El Molos, there are many intelligent Rendiles. When is this time and day that they can also come and say that, I'm a proud Kenyan carrying the flag of Kenya, and I want to, this idea, this vision that I have for country. It cannot be done in a presidential system where, first of all, you do the mathematics of Kikuyu Luo votes, Kalenjin Kikuyu votes. No, we must demand, should Rigathi Gachagwa's impeachment give us an opportunity, we must demand that Kenya has inclusive political institutions that work for us in a way that works for us. Because right now, if you see, Raila Odinga has done something that's very despicable this evening and yesterday. A couple of weeks ago, his entire political party were against the Adani deal and were saying how this is all corrupt. Right now, he's the one who's given it a clean bill of health, and he's talking about how this has been done in Mumbai, blah, blah, blah. He did the same thing under the presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta. He criticized Uhuru for going for the loans, but when Uhuru took him to China and they were extending the SGR to Kisumu, I do not know if the SGR was ever extended. He was all good, and loans were now all good. So that's why I'm saying, Hilary, as a stop on the first part, Kenyans need to, some few Kenyans, wherever they are, I do not know, 5 or 6 or 7 people need to move together in terms of a collegiate leadership. Leadership is a strong thing. You cannot leave it in the hands of Kasmuel, Morada. I've had some few names being mentioned here. Leadership, even in the traditional African society, was collegiate. It was team-led. You cannot have a singular person moving around in the name of wanting to be your leader. It must be 5, 6, 7 people. Look, from the days of independence, a few people came together and said, look, we are not happy with how this country is moving. We want to really change the course. Look at even, the 7 bearded sisters at the House of Parliament. A few people must come together. It is too difficult for an individual, because then you cannot check it, or you cannot check him or her. We really need a critical number, 5, 6, 7, 8 Kenyans who sit down, agree that this is not where the country needs to go. It is doable. It has been done before. The only thing is that it is not painful. Where we are is not painful. No, this has happened in other countries before. We can come to expresses and say constantly that, this is a Bangladesh moment, this is a what moment. We must organize politically as a people who are not happy with what Raila Odinga, William Ruto, and other people are doing, and we must face them. We must push to have inclusive institutions. If we go to an election and we think that they've won unfairly, we have recourse. We have a good constitution that you can then use to have recourse. If we push them and you win and they have a new set of leadership, we can then put the kind of check of balances that they want for country. But I think there's an opportunity in the next coming weeks for Kenyans to coalesce, and this new leadership, I think, in my view, can emerge. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Neto, for that insight and also giving us the way forward or what we're going to do. Yeah, that's, we are seeing the new deputy government is coming in, or new deputy president. But what Kenya is saying, what actions we need to take? Bonnie, I think you want to come in before Calvin.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for all the troubles that I've had with connection. I wanted to echo everybody that's spoken before me in saying that we need change and we cannot wait for 2027. And I'm just going to give you my analysis of why we need to act there from an economy standpoint. All of you have heard me talk about our situation, our economic situation, our balance sheet, right? We have a lot of debt we owe as a country. And I keep talking about this debt because it impacts everything that we talk about. We can't talk about policy. We can't talk about the size of our government without looking at how much we owe, right? Today, our country is spending 60% of every shilling that comes in through tax revenue to pay interest. That's why you saw the government trying to bring the finance bill of 2024, because they realized we're in a bad spot. But the reality is that they are not doing the things that they need to be doing to be able to solve the problem, right? When you start off with giving up 60% of your income to pay interest, what we have to ask ourselves is what we got for that money, right? If you followed my analysis, you see how the money is spent. The vast majority of the money that we've accumulated actually ended up in people's pockets. So you've heard me talk about the fact that we need to audit all the debt that we have. We need to audit all the contracts that were issued by the national government, by the county government since 2013, because part of what we need to be doing is not just congregate on X and talk about all the issues and how much money is stolen. We need to come up with a game plan for seeking prosecutions and getting our money back, because we will never be able to pay that money. When you're paying 60% of your interest, and this situation is getting worse by the day. When the finance bill failed, the government is resorting to borrow more money to cover expenses for a small clique of politicians. Do not kid yourself thinking that we are spending all this money in development. It's every year we have $1 trillion that we add to our debt to pay recurring expenditure, right? Our politicians are the second highest paid in the world. They are not interested in looking at themselves and asking, where do we need to cut expenses? And so every time you hear me talk about these issues, I want to make sure that Kenyans understand what the main issues are, right? We have a lot of debt we need to pay. We need to find ourselves out of it. But the people that got us to this mess cannot really be expected to be the ones getting us out of it. So I tell you that we have a lot of debt and we don't have a solution to fix it right now, to tell you that we cannot wait for 2027. Every year that's going by, we're adding 1 trillion in debt. So right now we're spending 60% of our income to pay interest, but we continue to add $1 trillion. So next year, we might have to spend 70%. The year after that, we might have to spend 80% of all our tax money. So if you thought the finance bill was bad, just wait until you see what they're going to come back next with, right? It's going to be worse than what they had, because we have a country that has a significant amount of unemployment at the age of 18 to 34, like 6-7% unemployment. These are the most productive people in the society. They are supposed to be, but they're unemployed. And if they're unemployed, but you need to pay this interest, where do you get the money? And so naturally, the government, because they're not interested in cutting the expenses, they're going to come back and add more taxes. So, the finance bill of 2024 is not the last time you're going to hear about more taxes. They're going to come back to you and they're going to ask you for more money. The lady was talking about, paying 38%. Yeah, that's going to get worse, because, we need to solve the issue. But our politicians are not interested in looking at themselves, cutting costs, getting rid of corruption, cutting all this wastage that they have, right? And they do not understand. It's almost like we live in two different worlds. When you read any of my analysis and you see how much money they are spending on nonsense, right? 17 billion on travel, right? 6 billion on cars, right? You can have a country where there is a 34%, like, Tana River. I give you an example of Tana River. A country with a 33% literacy rate, 6-7% poverty rate. So in other words, 2/3 of the population there cannot put food on the table twice a day. And with those numbers, you're seeing that county, they give a project almost, valued at almost $1 billion. And these, companies which are formed 3 or 4 months before they bid, they take the money and run, right? And this is not unique to one county; it's everywhere. So I tell you that to say that these people are not going to give up what they have. They're not going to give up this position. They're not going to give up this advantage that they have. We're going to need to basically take it from them, right? The changes that are required to fix our country, which require, for example, significant reduction in expenses for politicians. They are going to require prosecution because, like, frankly, I told you we have 11 trillion in debt, and we didn't get any value for that. We need to seek prosecution. So you think the people that did this to us are going to want to, give up those stolen funds? They're not going to be interested in doing that. We're going to have to force it on themselves. So we cannot wait for 2027. Honestly, we don't have that luxury. Things are going to get bad very quickly. If you think the finance bill of 2024 was bad, it's only going to get worse. So we need to get involved. Frankly, I believe that we need to be talking 10% and 90%. We need to be on the streets. I 100% agree with that. We're not going to solve this issue by having a debate with these people. It's not going to work. it's not going to work. They only respond to pressure, and that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. I think that was really a good presentation. I want to cycle back to Honorable Neto, what he said. I think I agree with him. What we have in Kenya is fundamentally a political problem, and which requires maybe a political solution. But we must take control of the narrative, I think, and push through a political means and other means available to us. However, I think there is one thing we cannot ignore. I think you talked about the emotion of our struggle, the emotional aspect of this struggle. I think those are valid because they reflect the deeper frustration of the people, as you said, and those in power have often stoked these emotions to manipulate us on a tribal lines. I think as we move forward, I agree we must balance the emotional energy with strategic action focused on ultimate goal of justice and accountability. This is and shaping the future of our country. I think I agree with those sentiments. Meanwhile, let me bring back Dr. Milton, and then we can go in that order.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to agree with speaker after speaker in terms of where the country is and what we need to do. And I'm going to pick up from Honorable Neto's sentiments in saying that political mobilization is a tool